I would like to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, Simon Donato, fresh off of Season 2 filming for Boundless.
Thanks. Well, nice to see you all tonight. I'm happy to be here. I do love supporting this race. It's been great for us. I love marathons. I did my first marathon a few years ago, and I didn't really expect much from it. I thought it was going to be a long, boring trot down pavement. I kind of came from a trail background, and I was pleasantly surprised. I fell in love with it immediately, went for it, went to Boston. It's such a fantastic feeling to be out there and be surrounded by friends, family, strangers who are just cheering for you and encouraging you and giving you all this energy to do your best on the day. So I was really pleasantly surprised. And I have to say, this year's 50K run, I think it's a great idea, and I think what we're going to see in the next few years is just a proliferation of known marathons now adding a 50K category. So I've heard that you're kind of in need of pacers right now for the 50K. So if we're not filming Boundless 3 by then, I would love to come out and pace.
That would be awesome. You all heard that.
Yeah, it's official. There's witnesses. So yeah, I mean, getting out and pushing yourself to do something new, that's what we do with Boundless. We've got lovers of the program, we've got haters of the program. People say, you've inspired me to get off the couch or to go run my first 5K or to run 100K. That's always fantastic to hear. On the other side of things, we also hear you guys go into these things unprepared, you get crushed, and you embarrass Canada. So, we definitely get the full spectrum. And I thought I'd give you a little background as to how we do Boundless, and then try and relate it to how you're training for your 5K, your marathon, your 50K. So, Boundless is controlled by a network. The network says you need to start on this date, we need it wrapped up by this date so we can air it when we want to air it. Because of that, our schedule gets a little bit compressed. And trying to push ourselves in sports that aren't all running, because it would probably be a little bit boring if you guys just watched us do ultras around the world, continent after continent, and if things were easy. So because of that, we'll do a paddle race, we'll do a bike race. But basically, we'll try things that are taking us out of our comfort zone. Sometimes we have a chance to prepare a little bit for it. We'll have a month, 2 months maybe, to get ready for a new event or a new sport, like paddleboarding. If some of you caught our first season and some of the challenges we had on the water, you would understand. Sometimes though, we're thrown into things days apart. This year, we did a race in Scotland. It was a 100K run through the Munros, and a Munro is any mountain over 1,000 meters around and including Ben Nevis, so there are 24 Munros. If you see the episode, you'll understand, but it was a brutal, brutal challenge. Scottish weather is something that I've never experienced, and there's people just nod knowingly when you're like, well, yeah, it was a bad day for Scottish weather. They go, oh yeah, we know what you mean. But then 3 days later, we were doing a paddleboard race in Holland, 220K. So sometimes you don't always have the chance to prepare as well as you want, and you have to kind of just adapt and roll with it. But, it's funny. My most memorable races are the ones that I have to really struggle with, and I deal with the highs and the lows that come, usually when I'm not as well prepared. The races, though, that I do the best in are the ones where I've had a chance to prepare. I get on a training program, I find training mentors, training partners, I block it out in my calendar, and I make it a priority. So whether it's trying to run a fast 5K for me, or getting ready for a 100-miler, the key to success is giving it the time it deserves. So the most recent example from my schedule that I'd bring up is a 100-mile cross-country ski race that I did up in the Yukon recently. So this is an episode of Boundless. You'll see this in Season 2. The race is called the Yukon Arctic Ultra. They advertise it as the longest, coldest, hardest winter race out there. And it is. 8 stations. So in your race, how far are the 8 stations apart?
2.5.
2.5K. Our 8 stations were 30 to 40 miles apart, minus 25 to minus 30 at night. night starts at 6 o'clock in the morning and it ends at 8 the following morning. So, you know, going into something like this, it was taking me from comfort zone of running or skate skiing around the Canmore Nordic Center and trying to figure out how to tow a sled full of gear, which is mandatory for survival if it comes to that, and, you know, have the right clothing. So for me, I had 6 weeks to prepare for this race. Fitness was good, I'd been racing a lot, so I knew that was there, but it was the clothing and it was the gear for me that I had to figure out. So trying to find a way to stay fueled. Eating is probably the most important thing that you're going to do out there. For 5Ks, you can get by on, you know, maybe having a gel 10 minutes before you start, or your breakfast. You know, that's probably going to get you through 5K. As you push your 10K, and you start to get towards an hour, your body needs a little more sugar. It needs that food. So in your training, you know, you've got to recognize that and think, should I maybe be having a gel at the half-hour mark so that in those final 10 minutes as I get close to the hour, I'm going to have that little sugar kick to help get me across the line and still feeling good. For those of you who are racing the marathon or the 50K, hydration and nutrition are paramount. So as you move up in distance, pacing and your nutrition, those are the two biggest things that you should be thinking about. Regardless of what your training has been, it's about performance on the day. And think of yourself as a car engine. You've got to keep gas in the engine if you want the car to go forward. I've been on both sides of it. I've had my races where hydration, nutrition have gone very well. No cramps, no bonking, no crashing through lows. And I've had races where I get all those nasty things. And usually it's due to not eating well, not taking care of the hydration, thinking, I'm feeling okay right now, I'm going to skip this aid station. Hey, I'm still feeling good, I'm going to skip the next one. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're not feeling so good anymore. For me, I usually start a little bit of twinging on the inside of my quads, and that's the first sign. If I'm near a place where I can drink, I definitely do. Then, moves to the hamstrings, the quads start to get worse, or sorry, the calves, and the quads start to get worse. And, you know, if I can't eat or I can't drink during that time, the race becomes a very different situation. So, you know, in terms of preparing for these races, whatever distance you're doing, try and block the time out of your schedule. And if you have a hard time because of work and family obligations, try and bring in running partners. I think, for me, a saving grace is training with friends because they keep you accountable. In those days where you don't want to get out because it's raining, or maybe you just pounded down a bag of chips because you thought it was a good idea, which I often do, you know, they're still going to drag you out there. And then at least you'll have something to talk about because you can complain about your indigestion for an hour. But, you know, so if you're training alone, think about training with a partner because you're also going to motivate them to do their best. But ultimately, on race day, what really matters is that you do your best. Some of you will be trying to race for a podium position. Others are racing to simply do a first, make the finish line, or perhaps get a PB. You know, those things are all nice, and if you have the ideal situation where you take good care of yourself, your training's gone well, you've been lucky and you haven't been injured, you know, maybe those will happen. But at the end of the day, regardless of how the race is going at any point, you will have your highs and lows. It's about doing your best. So if you cross that finish line and you know that you've tried your hardest, chin up, high fives, that's what the sport's all about. And it's about breaking barriers and learning more about yourself. So whether it's a 5K, which I still suffer through when I have to redline it, just as a quick sidebar, I did a race in Quebec 2 weeks ago, and I was racing against like the elites of the elites for winter triathlon. It was a snowshoe, 5K snowshoe, 12K speed skate, which I don't know how to do, and an 8K cross-country ski. And I got annihilated in front of about 1,000 Quebecois fans. It's a little bit embarrassing and humbling, but at the end of the day, I tried my best, and you know, I was proud of the accomplishment. But for me to go out and run 5K and be in the hurt zone the entire time, like the first kilometer, I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna quit. This is way too hard. I need things to slow right down, and then I'll do it for 100K. So, you know, our tolerance for all of these experiences are different based on what we do what we train for, and you know, there's no better or worse. Just get out there, have fun, because you know, I don't think many of us are making our incomes doing this stuff. So have fun, try your best, be proud of the experience, take it all in. It's going to be a great day. It's a great event. You're running with hundreds and thousands of other like-minded people for a beautiful city. So cross our fingers right now for sunshine and blue skies. But I wish you all the best of luck, and I'm going to be around here for a little bit. If you have any questions, you want to chat about the show, see why I'm so crazy to do these things. And also, my good friend Jordan Eady's here. Jordan Eady started Boundless with me. He's also the director of photography. So when you see me running along and you see a camera bouncing along beside us, chances are it's Jordan holding it. Or if you see a very steady, beautiful pan, Jordan set numerous world records for steady camming in weird and wonderful places. So anyways, lucky to have him here. We're just doing some wrap-up filming this week, actually. So thanks for all showing up. Good luck with your race, and enjoy the run. For those of you who are going out, and the rest of you, enjoy your night. Yeah.